Hey guys, I just wanted to go over just the tools you need to install the header. I showed these in my video of removing the stock header, but anyway, I use just a 3/8 drive. You could use a 1/4 inch drive for this also, but there's plenty of room for a 3/8 drive. I use a short ratchet, a extension that's about 8 inches long, and my favorite wobbly socket. You want one with a deep concave like that. Okay, 12 millimeter 6-point socket. As you can see, that gives you a lot of angle on this wobbly, and it's better than the universal joint that binds up and a lot less hassle. 22 millimeter open end wrench, inch-pound torque wrench. This is important. Don't cheap out on this. You want a decent inch-pound torque wrench. My final torque numbers on the header flange nuts ended up to be 120 inch-pounds after you snug them by hand evenly. Then your final pass 144 inch-pounds. So that's 120 is 10 foot-pounds, 144 12 foot-pounds. Okay, but use an inch-pound. It's a lot more accurate at those low torque values, and you won't break anything or strip anything. And then a flat pry bar that's skinny on the end, wrapped with some masking tape or something. That's just in case we need that to kind of adjust the header rotation of the collector. Okay, now we can get started. Cheers. Hey guys, Dale Walker at Holeshot. Okay, I got the new header pulled back off the bike. I got it disassembled over here. I'm going to go over kind of how you would assemble this header. It's very self-explanatory, but I'm just going to give you a few tips. First of all, they're all marked for convenience. Can you see that? Geez, I don't know if you can see it. The numbers. Those are little decals, and each header pipe has the matching one on it too. The light I better turn down. So we got 1, 2, 4, and 3, and these are all marked the same as well. So first of all, what I want you to do is take off those one at a time. You can use your fingernail or maybe a razor blade if you're just really easy. Okay, get all the stickers off one at a time, and go ahead and just use a black Sharpie and put the number 4 right here beyond the spring mount. And same as on the collector, top and bottom. Get these out of the way, because once you mount the springs, you aren't going to get them off. And you don't want to leave those on there and have the things melt and have a mess. So do that first, and then we'll get to the next step. Alright guys, so now all the decals are off. I did use a razor blade very gently, and then I used brake clean with a clean rag. Okay, and also with a clean towel, clean the ends of the header pipes off and clean the inside of the collector tubes where the header pipes are going to slide into. And then, if you notice, I went ahead and marked these with the felt pen in the same sequence, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the pipes. So, just keep in mind, this is how the header collector section goes on the bike, right? So 1 and 4, your top 2, you're going to put those in first, so they're not, you can't get them in with the other 2 in. So you start with the top 2. So let's just see if I can hold all this. This is our Valco all-in-one high-temp silicone that's black. We've been using it for years. It's fantastic. It's, I don't know, $8 or $9 we saw a tube. So, okay. The header did come with gaskets. My bike's brand new. The header wasn't real tight. The gaskets look perfect, so I'm going to leave the stock gaskets in mine. These gaskets will work. They're slightly smaller in diameter, so they're not going to restrict anything, but you'll have to put a little bit of silicone on these. and or contact cement and glue them up in the head, kind of centered, so they're held in place, they don't fall out, to use these. But they're fine. If they include them, still I'll include them. If not, I might stock the original Kawasaki gaskets, and you'll have to buy those. Okay, so anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to do a typical deal. So let's start out with number 1, which is this one here. And you don't have to get crazy with the silicone. Whoops, wrong one. This is the show model. You don't have to get crazy. Always have something to lay something on. Have some paper towels ready, because this stuff is a mess. So all you want to do is put some on your finger, and all you want is a very light coat inside your joint, okay? Not a big blob. I don't know if you can see in there, but I am just spreading it evenly around the whole surface. Maybe the first inch, and that's plenty, okay? We're going to put a very thin coat. It's going to squish out. You're going to have to wipe it off, okay? But we're going to put a very thin coat. That's one. Yeah, I didn't mess that up. We're also going to put a very thin coat on the tube. And let's just do the first ½ inch, approximately. Like I say, it's gonna be a little bit of a mess, but this stuff is the best. So set it down for a second. Wipe your hand off so you can deal with it. Okay, and number one. Good thing to do too, and you're going to go all the way into close to the stop bottoming right here. Okay. Hey guys, I'm going to cut into the video right here. I lost some footage when my camera card was in the computer, and it did an update on 3 videos. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a little tip, since I already have the header installed now while I'm making this instruction video for you. So this is another header I have. I ordered 2. I just wanted to show you a little tip about adjusting the collector assembly ahead of time, so it's close and gives you plenty of clearance when you put it on the bike. So when I get into the video here, and you already put the sealer on the pipes, before you put the springs on, kind of set the header like it is right now. You could slide them in, wipe it off with some paper towels, a little excess high temp silicone. And what you want is you want that top of that collector flat. Let me walk over and I'll show you. So you want to line up the top tubes standing on this in the front of the header and approximately eyeball kind of the bike, and you're looking straight down, and you want this surface flat or slightly this direction. So the back here will have more clearance to the oil pan and oil sump, okay? When I put it on dry, test fit perfect, but I just happened to have it together like that, okay? When I put the sealer on it, it was slightly this way. You can't really tell just by looking at it. So I would suggest that you slide it on. Don't put on the springs yet. Get everything assembled. Wipe it all off the best you can. You're just going to have to do it again, okay? And then just eyeball the top here, and you might even want to you're going to have a buddy help you. With this whole install, it's an easy header to install. I mean, really easy. But it's still better to have one person. You might start on this side. You can get them all up in there by hand. But then you might want to snug number 4 and number 3. Just lightly start the nuts while your buddy is holding number 1 and 2 cylinder up in the port still, so it doesn't get all kitty-wampus on you. It moves around pretty easy, but still, it's just easier with one person. So anyway, what I'm getting at is here you want this flat or slightly rotated this way. To get this side, make sure you got, you know, at least a little finger, or this finger. It's like 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch from the engine is what you'll end up. You just need some daylight there. You don't want it touching on it. And that keeps the spring off the oil filter too, because it's pretty close. It doesn't hurt anything, but still. What you can do, and once you massage these prior, it moves pretty easy. I don't think you're going to have to pry it. I think you can do it by hand. But if you do need to adjust it, and it won't kind of move by hand, I have a, let me see if I can see what I'm doing. I have this little wide flat pry bar I've had for 25 years. I wrapped it with tape. Have your buddy hold on to the header pipes right up on top, and then you can just put something right in between the collectors right here, and you just barely give it a little and the whole thing will just rotate. It's just something you can't quite do by hand. This doesn't hurt a thing. You're not putting a lot of force on it. So anyway, that was just a little tip because it makes it a lot easier. You know, probably easier than when you got it bolted up to the bike and you got to back off the header pipes, and you still may have to a little bit. I doubt it if you make sure that that is like I just told you. So once you get it like that, still off the bike, then I'd go ahead and install the springs like I'm going to show you next here in the video. So, okay, that was just a little tip. Okay, on to the rest of the video. Do a test fit first before you even begin this process like I did on the bike. And if there's a little burr, take some like 220 sandpaper and go over it inside or on the end of the tube. Kind of test fit it, maybe a little WD-40, make it fit nice so you're not fighting the battle when you put it together. Then you wipe it off clean and dry with either contact cleaner or brake cleaner, acetone, with a clean rag, and then you know it's not going to be, you know, a nightmare putting it together. Okay, so then here's your spring. So we're going to put on the first spring. Start from the header pipe and come to the collector, and they can be pointing inward towards the pipe, the ends, and you just pull on it and get it hooked and get it out of there. That's really nice. A lot of aftermarket headers that have the springs, man, the springs are tight. You think they're going to break. You're stretching them. You're going to break the tool. These only got to pull about 1/4 inch, and man, it just seems like just the perfect amount of pressure. It's nice. So that's the sequence. You're going to go ahead and put number 4 in. Like I say, the top 2 got to go in first, or you can't get the bottom ones in. They're in the way. Okay. See what I'm doing here? It's a very light film. And what's nice about this, you're going to let the pipe sit. You don't want to fire it up right away. You want this to sit 24 hours. If you get some spooge hanging out, you're going to wipe it off clean. You're going to install the pipe, and then you're going to let it sit 24 hours before you fire it up. And you still might get a little bit, if it bubbles out a little bit, you have to clean off. It's not a big deal. But what's nice about this, not only does it help seal the pipe and make it slip together better, but that's 4 and 4. This sealer, and what's really nice about these do pivot, so they don't get bound up. They find their own home and they're not in a twist. A lot of them aren't like that, which is pretty slick. So here you go, second one on. Okay, so do the same thing with the bottom 2. I don't need to show me doing every single one of these. Do the same thing with the bottom 2. Get them kind of where you think they're going to be. And then the next step, we'll get over to the bike and we'll get this puppy bolted up. Okay, see you in a minute. Ah, fooled you, still here. I was just going to say one more thing about this. As you're putting these in, go ahead and wipe them off thoroughly with the brake cleaner, contact cleaner with clean, to get it all off, anything of the spooge off the pipe, because it's hard to get in there once the tubes are in there. So I'm on the last one, which is number 2. And then once you get it completely assembled, go ahead and take your felt pen marks off the collector. Yeah, the collector and the header tubes. Okay, and then also something I wanted to tell you, I don't think I've ever talked about. These have a real nice heavy-duty flange. They're like a cast steel that's plated, and they're just about almost a 1/4 inch thick. These suckers are really strong. So unlike a few other pipes that I've installed, that the flanges are mild steel or stainless, but they're narrower and they'll bend and bow real easy. You don't want to overdo your tightening on the studs anyway. What we're going to do on that is we're going to get it up in there, and then you evenly go back and forth so you're not just pushing one side. And you'll start out at about 10 foot-pounds, and then get all of them done at that, and then you'll probably will go 14 to 16 foot-pounds max on the flange nets. And then what you'll end up doing is you'll end up doing a heat cycle, taking it out for a ride, maybe 20 miles or something like that. Let it sit all night, go over them again, and then do that one more time after a 100-mile ride or so. And what's the beauty is they're so easy to get to. So, okay, very soon on the bike. That's coming next. All right, so did you notice anything DW did wrong? Talking to the camera, and I made a dork move. So make sure the inner two are in the inside here. Number 2 and 3. We had them on the outside. Got looking at it, going, "Oh, that's not going to fit too well." So I pulled the 2 out, redid it. So as you put it together, just make sure it's the 1, 2, 3, and 4 going across, and the center 2 where they got to be. What I did is I went up and kind of test fit it, kind of adjusted it just a little bit, and you can do that by yourself, and the springs will kind of hold it in position. Hopefully I didn't move it at all, and that way you can put it back up there by yourself. So let's see. My Lisa is taping, and let's see if we can do this without a helper now. The thing's very lightweight as long as the tubes don't move. I've got the tools laid out already. The other thing is the flanges and stuff you got to kind of hold. So you want to make sure you get them up inside the port, and I do. And like I say, without a helper it might fall down on me. We'll see how it goes. Okay, get one started in your little tool that we talked about earlier. It's 12mm 6-point socket. With my wobbly short extension on here. And we'll get one started, and probably going to need a helper. A helper would be a lot better. That way you're just not fighting the battle. You got a buddy on the other side holding the pipes from falling out of the port like they already have. But we'll get these 2 just lightly started, and we'll go around the other side. A helper, like I said, another set of hands is definitely the way to go. But let's just do this and show that it can be done by yourself. If the studs are clean and dry, you could put anti-seize. They had a teeny bit of a Loctite on them. I don't really recommend that. a lot of times I'll put anti-seize on them actually, but that's mainly on a stud that is exposed, or the stainless bolt going into the aluminum head. Since you got these studs sticking out with the factory acorn nuts, there we go. And it's a new bike, you can put them on dry. A little bit of anti-seize also won't hurt, but anyway, you get the idea. I'm going to finish this up. Let me finish this up with Lisa just holding it in place for me, and then we'll come back and do the torque sequence, okay? Be right back. Okay, show me the light. All right, guys, so what I did was, like I say, it's still easier with a helper, but they fall in there pretty good. You got to make sure that the spigots are in the port correctly. Get them all started. Then you snug them all down evenly, just one side, the other side, very slowly, each nut, back and forth, all the way across. Okay, and then don't tighten them yet, because the first time I put it on I had no problem at all. This time the header collector was like against the engine down here, because when you put it together it can be on a slight twist and you won't even know it. You want the thing to be pretty flat looking on the bottom here, the plane. It was like this a little bit, just happened to be how it went together this time. So what I did was I used my handy dandy pry tool. So leave these, snug them, and then back them off a little bit so that it's held in place, but it's got a little bit of wiggle room. It's still a little loose. And then I took a flat pry bar and wrapped it with tape. And I went right back in here on the collectors and just gave it a little and that shifted it just slightly. And it's not going to hurt anything, but the spring on that one is, you know, it's near the filter. It's not going to do a damn thing though. But the main thing is underneath. Let me go around, see if I can see this. It's pretty hard, but yeah, can you see anything back there? Light. I don't know if you can, I can't even see. But anyway, between the collector here and the back of the header, you want some daylight back there. Right now I don't think you can see it. Sorry about that, there's no way. But in the back there, my fingers are going between. You got about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch from the pan, and you have nice clearance up here. That's what I had yesterday, and I got it back now. So after that, snug them down by hand evenly, okay? And then, okay guys, I got thinking about this. So after the first time torquing the header acorn nuts against the flanges, you never quite know. Every header's different. The flanges, you know, how everything tightens down, and actually how much torque. There's no exact torque number per size stud, depending on how feel and everything and what the flanges are going to do. Excuse me. We got a bunch of smoke back here. I went riding yesterday on the MT10, and boy, it's terrible. I can coughing up a storm this morning. It's terrible for you. So anyway, I've decided what you should do is keep the sequence like I mentioned in the video. Go over them by hand, you know, on the final. Once you get the header all set up correctly, make sure they're even, just lightly snug, okay? And then go ahead and stick with an inch-pound torque wrench. So what you're going to do is use the wobbly. I have a short one here that I really like. If I can point the camera at it. You want one with a deep concave like that. and that allows you not to have a extra universal joint one. Gives you a lot of angle still. 6.12 millimeter socket. And what I want you to do is go ahead and go 120 inch-pounds. That's 10 foot-pounds, but use an inch-pound wrench. A little one like this. It can be 1/4 inch drive or 3/8 like mine. Doesn't matter. There's no clearance issues. Go over all of them evenly, back and forth a little bit, side to side, you know, per cylinder. Get them all to 10 foot-pounds, which is 120 inch-pounds. Okay, when you do that, do the same thing, but go to 144 inch-pounds. It's 12 foot-pounds of torque, and they're plenty tight, and that's right where I could see the flanges just starting to flex. Okay, and like I said in the video, you want to do about 25-mile ride, let it cool down, check them again, and then after 100 miles or so, or a good ride, check them one more time. But that's a maintenance thing. You know, once in a while, since these are so easy to get to, I would recommend checking them, because the gaskets go through heat cycles. They'll squish down a little bit, and you don't want a nut coming loose. So, but you don't need any more than 144 inch-pounds. Okay, that's fine. All right. So that was just a little tip in between this video here for you. So I would say 12 foot-pounds max is plenty. And see how you got your even gap between the flange, and that's a sign that you did it right, working back and forth. So 120 inch-pounds, and then go to 12 foot-pounds. Before you tighten it, make sure you give that a little tweak down there, or just check it, make sure it's right. You got clearance to the oil pan and everything, and that's it. You're good to go. So that's it for the install of the header, the Lextek Holeshot header front section, and we will put the back on, and it will be the tube that I'm going to modify that we talked about already. The O2 sensor, I would put a little bit of anti-seize just barely on the threads. Go ahead and put it in the header and snug it. Okay guys, as mentioned in the stock header removal tip video that I lost when the wonderful computer did an update, the O2 sensors back in the new 4-2-1 that I already installed. But I'm just going to show you this because this is kind of handy. Before you take the O2 out of the stock header, put a felt pen mark on it and the bung. Pull this out of the little clip so you have a little more slack in the wire. Pull the sheathing back, and then use your 22mm wrench and break it loose. And then what you can do, there's plenty of slack here. You're not going to hurt the wire, so you don't have to unplug it up top to remove it. The thread depth is not that much. Whoops, sorry. So when you unthread it, that way you can count your turns, with the wire shielding, how it's going to twist up a little bit. And then when you go to put this in your new header, you do the same thing. You let it relax, then you turn it counterclockwise, the turns that you make a note of that it came out, because that's not going to really matter header to header. To be real close, it's only where the first thread's cut, right? So that's just a little tip, and then the wires would be all nice and relaxed when you put it in, and then you lightly snug it. Make sure the gasket's under it in this header too. All right, so that's the tip on that. And then put this back, put it in, put it back in the little clippy, and that's back in there. All right, that's just a little tip, and sorry these are all cobbled together. Like I say, I had a major problem. I lost 3 videos. I have to redo them now, kind of at the wrong sequence. All right, thanks for watching, and this is just a helpful tip. And I'll be putting the back on, and then what we're going to do next is we're going to, in a few days, I'll put it on the dyno, and we're going to run it with the stock air filter, nothing else touched at all, no modifications. and I'll try a few of my mufflers, and we'll just see what we come up with next with no fueling mods, no anything else done as a first step. I might go for a test ride. That's what I might do. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.